Yo, we
Um,
are back. CP3. We're back again, bro. We're back again. I'm the boy
come
Jryson.
on.
I got my co-host with me.
It was one of those conversations that I was really like, oh my gosh, like that's the raw D-Roc. You know
Yes,
it.
sir. Yes, sir. We just love God. We love God with all our heart, with all our mind, with all our soul. And we're just ready to give that to the world. In CP3.
Oh, puts up a three-pointer. Bang!
Come on. I was getting started, man. Definitely. So, JJ, it's been about probably like a month and a half now. Have you had the opportunity to think about this word? I told you that it was a word that started with D, and you said you were going to give it a go, and I told you it was not one of your favorite words of discipline. Go for the people. 10 seconds.
Um,
Five, four, two, one.
determination.
Ah, that's a great guess, man. But that is not it. That's a great one. I love it. Determination is another. There's so many good words. I feel like as you're continuing to, elevate and ascend into a higher self of life, a higher purpose of life, a higher version of yourself, there is dedication, discipline, so many things. But the word that came to mind because it was one that was so much going on was distractions.
Mm.
Yes, yes. And I kind of, that I kind of already told you about, what I was going through, but I didn't use the word because I was like, I don't know if he's going to pick up on it or not. So
Yeah.
when you hear the word distractions, what do you normally tend to think of?
Dang, bro. So distractions is something that I feel like people mask with the ability to multitask. You feel me? Sometimes in everyday life, multitasking is looked at as like, oh, this person is mad effective. But the more tasks that you're going after is
Right?
essentially adding to distractions because like you have to be where your feet are. You have to there's this quote, I believe it's a quote or like a saying that says that if you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to a list of other things. You feel me? So
Absolutely.
that is what I equate to distractions. How about you, my good brother?
I love that you said that, bro, because I didn't come in here unprepared, bro. So with
Yeah.
that, so like you said, I kind of want to piggyback off of what you said. There's a quote by Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett, do you know who Warren Buffett is? Everybody? Perfect. So with Warren Buffett, he always says that, the way that he got successful wasn't to the things that he said yes to, but the things that he said no to. I think that is so important that people really understand the importance of distractions. And the reason that I really wanted to have this conversation based around distractions is because we're starting to get to that point in our life where distractions are starting to become so easily found in our everyday life. And I want to say this because the video that I watched talked about how as you continue to level up, as you continue to keep rising and escalating up, your distractions are going to get even higher. Your distractions are going to continue to meet with you at those levels. And,
Mhm.
it's one of those things. If you remember that one quote that you said of if you're not the thing about if you're not going the same if you're not going against the devil, you're going the same way as him. And
Mhm. Oh, that's a
yeah,
great.
so that, yeah. So for me, it was the simple fact of currently in the process of writing my anime. I'm currently in the process of doing these CP3 calls. I still have my job that I'm working, and I still have my relationship that I have to nurture. There's so many things that I have on on my plate already.
Hmm.
But I decided to take it a step further and started to, venture out because of how serious I can get about fantasy football. I wanted to go and start my own channel. I wanted to do all of those things, which is a great idea, but I still haven't mastered all of the things that I'm currently doing for me to go and add on another one to my plate. And it took me a real hard conversation with my girl in which she like basically set me straight and like helped me understand like master what you have on your plate already. And from there then we can look at adding on more. And I had to talk with my mentor about it as well, because when we do add on all these things, even though it may seem good, it may look good in the moment, it can also be a distraction from all of the blessings that God has given us in our life as is. So I may have thought it was a good idea, but as I'm continuously working through trying to do all my research for the fantasy football videos, while I'm trying to do, editing, while I'm trying to create these episodes, recording, I'm missing out on time spent with my girlfriend and building our relationship. I'm missing out on time that I can be, I wasn't all the way there with work. I'm adding on another stressor to my life. I'm lacking in creating my anime. I haven't been, staying up to date with writing the script and doing everything like that.
Hmm.
Even our PPP calls, I feel like was part of me falling off because I wasn't reading. I wasn't, I was a little bit ill prepared. And it took me having to understand that that was just a distraction that came up in my life. And I got to bring it back. I got to bring it back again. So I
Yeah.
say all that to say
CP3, CP3.
that CP, yes, CP3, CP3.
Yeah.
I say all of that to say my preacher ended up saying, sin fascinates and then it assassinates. And that was like, that is what I'm talking about right there.
Wait.
That was the distraction that was uh, fascinating me at first, but then assassinating everything around me.
Whoa.
And
Whoa. Whoa.
yes, sin fascinates and then it assassinates. Exactly like that, bro. And we can definitely find, so yes, yes, that was a gem that my preacher ended up posting, and I was just like, dang, like that's good, bro. Like that's very, very real. You know?
So, so when you first heard that, what like clicked in your mind?
Yeah, nah, absolutely. When I heard that, it was just it made me think of like, of course, the typical sin fascinates then assassinates. It made me think of like, you know, infidelity, because that tends to be the one that really fascinates then assassinates from like, your marriage, your relationship,
Hmm.
lots of more of the common ones. But for me, this one kind of went a little bit deeper because of I feel like sin in so many ways can look different, and that is the most challenging thing about dealing with sin and dealing with distractions. Like it can always come in so many different forms. Like the devil's not just going to keep attacking you in one set way. The great thing about it is, like, okay, I know Duran just got into a relationship. Why don't we see how loyal he is and sending girls at him? Okay, he passed that test. Well, why don't we? And then he's going to keep sending so many different
Hmm.
trials, and he was going to keep sending so many things your way, so that way he can see where you're weak at. And for me right now, it's the distraction portion, and that's why I was like, we got to talk about this on the PPP call for the first official episode. Our first episode being distractions, now that we've going over our commandments, because I
Yeah.
just think that right now, with trying to ascend to the self, my goals, and trying to do all these things, everything that I'm seeing may look like a good idea instead of honing in and locking in to the things that we already have set in place. So the CP3 call, you know what I'm saying? writing my anime, building my relationship. Those things are going to be where I can start so that I can bless not only myself, but those around me and I can sustain and maintain them. But then it's going to be something that as like as I'm trying to do all these things, it just fascinates me so much. Like, what if I can be making money streaming my Madden games, whooping on people? What if I can be making money creating fantasy football content? Like, it's just so many. Like, it's not as big of like sense, but it still is something that is taking me away from everything that the Lord has blessed me with, to say it at all. And I feel like I'm talking way too much, though. I'm gonna let you go ahead and step in, talk about an instance in which you're occurring, and yeah.
Brother, you are cooking with grease, my brother. I am so from the last episode, I had learned that like sometimes like I'll like interrupt. So right now I'm sitting back, I'm processing everything you said. I'm processing everything you said, and it
Yeah.
just like one book in the Bible was screaming at me, and it was Job. Job
Come on,
starts
bro.
off. Job starts off with this conversation that's had between God and the devil. The devil is saying to
Mm.
God, "Yo, Job is only
Yep.
faithful to you because you've given him all these things.
Mm.
Let me go ahead and take these things." So that's
Mm.
that's what that's what came to my mind when I heard sin fascinates, then it assassinates. And it's like the
Mm.
then it assassinates part is that Job story. You feel me? Because he
Mm.
came,
Absolutely.
killed his kids, took
Yes,
his
sir.
land, like even even went back to God and was like, "Yo, Job is still Job is still faithful for you, even after I took his land, took his kids, took all his wealth, took all these
Mm.
things, but you're still protecting his like physical body. So at least let me attack that, but not bring him to death." What happens to Job
Mm.
right after that? Job is then covered with boils on his body that that are like hurting him so much, but he still remains faithful, bro.
Come on, bro. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's bro, easily one of my favorite stories in the Bible, you know, and that I feel like, there's people take and look at the Job story and such a, I feel like you can look at it in a very vague way in which like, yes, it is this the trial of hardship and to trust God in the tough times. But when you really break it down and just watch step by step, like you're saying, he sends boils at him. He gives him boils. Not only does he give him boils, he distracts him by, you know, having his friends come and tell him, like, stop, why are you praising God? Like, not only taking away all of his possessions, his family, that's hard. That's not a distraction. But when you have your friends coming in there trying to distract you away from God and his purpose, that's when it gets even tougher, in which like he could have easily have folded. And I love that you brought it to the biblical story because this was another, yet again, another God wink that I ended up getting. So my girlfriend Manette ended up sharing with me. She shared this TikTok with me, and it said that it was this couple. They ended up asking. I asked ChatGPT, "What would the devil do to separate a Christian couple?" And this is what it said. The
oh,
number one thing that it said. I lie to you not, JJ. I can't make this up. Division through distraction. What it looks like filling your lives with busyness, stress, or even good things like work, school, ministry until you have no quality time for each other or God. The goal to weaken the spiritual and emotional connection so the relationship feels dry and distant. To guard against it, be intentional with together and prioritize prayer as a couple. That right there, man, was one of the things that it was just like so much of a God wink to me, bro,
Yeah.
because it literally, especially dealing with a relationship, it
Yeah.
can literally get hard to manage everything. You're trying to make sure that you can provide, you're trying to make sure that you can take care, and you want to reach all of these things. But yet again, the devil is sending so many distractions at you. And as you continue to keep passing the test, keep praying to God, keep getting closer to Him, He is trying that much harder to see what He can do. Busyness, sending temptation, whatever it is, He's always trying to send upgraded versions of these distractions so that way He can take you off course in your Christian life, your Christian walk, your Christian relationship, everything. But when you're covered in the blood of Jesus, no weapon formed against you shall prosper, bro. Yeah, bro. Come
Oh,
on, bro.
the devil acting on Job wasn't necessarily the distractions. The distractions was his friends coming to
Hmm.
console him. Sometimes sin fascinates because it's so like socially acceptable.
Yes.
It's like
Yes.
normal. It's normalized to watch corn and to
Mm.
lust after women and
Mm.
to,
Talk
to
about it.
to be in the gym. Sometimes the best way to defeat that is to remove yourself from it and
Yep.
then pray, seek first the kingdom, and then all these things will be added to you. In your season, Duran, uh, trying to like add the fantasy football league, did you have a conversation with God? Did you speak to God at all?
Yes, bro. I'm glad that you said that, bro. Like, literally, I remember like talking to myself. So when I was getting into it, it was one of those things that as I was getting into creating the content, like I watched so many great creators out there who are making content now, and the part of me was self-doubt. It was like, self-counseling limitations. I was like, oh, like my content's not going to be as good as theirs. My content's not going to be, like people might not watch it, but then I would talk myself into it and be like, no, like, why not me? Why not? So I would motivate myself to doing it. But I just remember like how stressed I felt, bro. Like literally like my mind, I would be working and like I'm doing good at my job, but like my mind's still like, what can I like what's the stat I can look that's going to differentiate me? I'm chat GBT and what else I need to do. And like there was literally just a constant stress on me. Like even Manette was like, like she could tell something was off and I was just like, nah, like I'm really trying to get it. Like I gotta get ready. I gotta start recording. I gotta do this. And it was just one morning. Every way that I start my morning is by listening to a verse or two, a couple of verses, and then from there, every time that I sit down in my car while my car is warming up, I pray. And, you know, while I'm praying, this was time that I just needed to just cast my net to the Lord. I always like to say cast my net because we can take this to the chosen when Jesus said to cast your net to catch the fish, and they had no faith. But he said, cast your net. I like to cast my net, my problems, everything on to God, and just know that He'll take care of the rest. And I remember just saying, like, Lord, like, give me some clarity. How am I supposed to go through this? How am I supposed to, like, am I supposed to talk to, like, I know a couple people who edit videos, I know a couple people who make content. Am I supposed to, like, give me the clarity that I need? What am I supposed to be doing, Lord, to make this content better? To even get started, because, like, as I'm making all of this content, one recording the videos, editing the videos, it was just too much for me. Doing all the analytical, it was just too much for me. And I just remember praying to him like, Lord, like give me an answer. Give me clarify everything that I need. And I went and worked out. And then when I came back from working out, I remember like I was talking with Manette and it was one of those things in which like I told her, like it's just a lot right now. And then we really had the heart to heart, and she told me everything, helped me really, you know, understand what I have in my life right now, how blessed I am to be where I am and to lock in on what I already do have. And
Yeah.
once I heard that, it was one of those conversations that I was really like, oh my gosh, like I need to do what I need to do, bro. Like I need to lock in and not worry about that at this moment. That this is God trying to talk to me and saying, not yet. If it is the time, there will be a space and a place for me to get back into it. But for
Mm,
right now, this is not the time.
mm,
And once I had that conversation with her, I was like, okay, I
mm,
understand it now, Lord. And it was one of those words that it was one of those things that it hurt, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
mm.
Like
Yeah.
it was one of those your words cut deep, deeper than any blade.
Your words cut deep, deeper than any blade.
It was one of those, bro. But at the end of the day, I just remember being like, she's actually right. Like this is what I needed to hear. I'm not there yet. I'm not at that point where I can just start doing this type of video because of how much other stuff that I have. And you know, God sent the message through her because if I ended up focusing more to go down that route, what would have ended up getting affected? My relationship, probably,
Mm,
maybe my job. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
My walk with God. I don't know what it would have been, but it was just me continuously piling up problems and all of these things,
mm,
all for my self benefit, in which, I might have felt good for a little bit, come to turn out, and like it probably would have took away my love for fantasy football at the end of the day.
mm.
And we don't know.
Cause,
Only God.
cause,
Only
bring it back to the quote. Cause,
come on, because sin fascinates, then assassinates, man. And once once I had that talk with God for him to send it how he did,
mm,
yet again, I'm telling you, especially when it's somebody, that's really what I learned, man. When it's somebody you really love and to care about and appreciate their opinion, when they tell you something that cut deep like that, you want to hit them with the, you just don't want to support me. You hate it. But
right,
then like I had to take a little bit longer of a shower, really started like looking. It was like like it was tough, bro. Like I really was sitting in the shower like she's right.
yeah,
I'm not there yet. I'm not ready. Like,
mm,
I can be using that effort even more at work. I can be using that effort to be even more present in my relationship. I can be using that effort, that time to spend locking in writing this script for my anime. So, you know what I'm saying? I could be using that time, that effort to be reading to make sure that when we come to these CP3 calls, we're filling each other and fueling our minds, our brains, our spirits with the right things, the godly things, bro. So
mm. So I don't know if you've been tuning in to the Daily Blade, but the Daily Blade, like
come
this
on,
week,
bro.
has been
Come on.
cooking with Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1. There's an
I'm glad you,
case.
yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes,
So
I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry.
no, no,
Yeah.
no, go.
No. I'm just glad you're still listening to the Daily Blade, bro,
Oh, of
because
course,
I
daily,
remember I
daily.
remember
It's the
I
daily, bro.
remember
It's the daily.
Deeper than any blade.
Like we had just mentioned at the last point that like sin is socially like normalized in a way. But in the same breath that sin fascinates or no, that sin is socially acceptable, sometimes having like friends, brothers, people like us, each other in our lives, helps us fight our sin. So one of my sins, and this is me being vulnerable because truth breeds intimacy. I used to normalize watching porn. And me definitely not frequently. Anytime I felt like my life was like hectic, I was like, dang, like maybe I just need to get one off. And then I would convince myself to do it. I would talk myself off the ledge. Sin fascinates, but then it assassinates. So
Mm.
it fascinated me in
Yep.
that moment to go and watch this thing, covet this girl lustfully, but then it assassinates
Right
me in
there.
real life. It assassinates me in real life with going and speaking to women, going and treating
Mm.
women like people because they are.
Mm.
And that is more of like the truth breeding intimacy aspect of why we do these calls. Why we do these calls is to sharpen each other's blade. And
Yes.
we hear that from the Daily Blade as well. There is a time and place for everything. So some things in certain seasons may be considered distractions, but in other seasons, that might actually be your purpose.
Mm.
I,
Mm.
I will definitely run that back.
Again!
I will definitely run that back.
Yes.
So some things in certain seasons can serve as distractions, but in another season can be your actual purpose.
Elaborate on that, please.
Yes, 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 yes. So what I mean by that is let's bring in fantasy football example. The fantasy football thing, it may have served as a distraction right now, but in the future, that doesn't mean that God is like saying like no to it all like in all seasons of your life. No, maybe he wants you to get closer to him, to seek him more, so he can give you that firmer foundation because you remember the compound effect and how and no, was it in the compound effect? It was in
What
the
What are you trying to talk about?
it was in the compound effect. It's the bamboo tree. The bamboo tree and the growth that it has within the first
Yep.
5 years, all things happen underneath the surface. Underneath the
Mm-hmm.
surface, the roots are getting stronger. And then after that 5 year mark, there's exponential growth.
Boom.
There's exponential growth. So maybe that fantasy football was a bamboo seed that God is giving you. So that's what I equate that to because like right now, this purpose may be serving as a distraction, but there's a time and place for everything. You feel me?
Amen. Amen. I'm also
Mhm.
hearing that you just saying I got to go win me a couple more championships. That's
Yo,
it. You just think I'm going to win a couple more of them things real
tight,
quick.
tight, tight. And then and then in your bio you could say 20 time league winning champ. Like
Yeah.
give yourself some credibility. You feel me?
Yeah. Real rap. Real
Hmm.
rap. Some more validity to for sure. I
Yeah,
love
bro.
that, bro.
So
I love that.
definitely. So I feel like even with me, like in the creative space, I feel like my mind is always going at like 1,000 miles per hour. And sometimes I have to cast that net, like you said recently. I have to cast my net onto the Lord. I have to bring him my 5 loaves of bread and my 2 fish. So
Yes.
then he can multiply it.
Come on. That's
So
real, bro.
then he can multiply it to feed everyone.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
I definitely saw another video was saying that people will pray to God and, ask him to bless their situation, but at the end of the day, they're not really doing anything. In which we need to start being, you need to do something first so that way he has something to bless. And I'm not trying to say it like, oh, like, like your life isn't your life isn't worth blessing. Like, no, I'm not trying to say it like that. What I'm trying to say is, for us, it started off by us just doing our weekly calls. And then, God ended up blessing us to the point where we were like, why don't we start sharing our story with one another, with more people, bringing on guests, bringing on people. And we've been able to do that, enriching lives, impacting lives, inspiring,
Mm,
all from doing, all from started off on the phone calls, bro. So
facts.
like we ended
Yo,
up saying, bro, this is how this type of thing happens. We have to start doing this because from there we're going to be able to have that bamboo like, growth. We're going to be able to have exactly. We're going to be able to have that reverse meteoric kind of spiral up
exactly.
because we're
Yeah.
just faith by works. Faith by works, bro. We're just doing our job, you know, turning our one talent into many, bringing our five loaves. You know what I'm saying? Bringing whatever we can to the table so that God can bless us from there, bro.
Facts, bro.
So,
Oh my gosh. And also with the five loaves, we are definitely running out of time. Five loaves and two fish. Faith without works is dead.
amen.
James. Somewhere in James. I'm I'm not a human Bible, okay? I'm not a human Bible. Faith without works is dead. But also works without faith is also dead.
Yep.
Works without
Goes
faith
in.
is also dead. Because it's like a one plus one equals two.
Right.
So you need both in tandem. So if you're head down hunting and trying to like lock in on what you feel like is a purpose of yours, but you're not seeking first the kingdom of God, where's your faith? Where's
Mm,
your foundation?
mm. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. If you like this, make sure that you like, comment, please subscribe. If not, at least just leave a nice message. We can pray for you anyway. And just thank y'all for y'all's time today. Until next time, there we go.